Hey, I'm Dr. Namrata. I talk about leading an authentic life with kindness, respect, and courage. I wanted to quickly touch upon the topic of how, when we're in that space of removing ourselves from difficult situations, it actually leads to your own growth. So, the only path to growth is through difficulty. And the more challenges you face, the more you are growing as a human. If you're always choosing kindness, respect, and courage, right? Authentic people always cash in on the challenge and see it as an essential step for their own next version. It's almost very philosophical or deep in nature, right? Now, what happens when somebody is in that process of removing themselves from difficult people, difficult circumstances, and they're choosing to stand their ground, they're choosing to be who they are? They don't know if it's correct or wrong, right? All they know is that it's the right path. And they're willing to go through the difficulties as they step on that path, because that's what lines up with their values and their principles. And it takes a whole bunch of courage and a bit of badassery to get that kind of stuff done. Now, one thing I wanted to mention today is, let's say that an authentic person is removing themselves from a difficult person. These people who are most likely manipulative in nature, they've chosen the wrong path. They're kind of always driving themselves from this place of almost a godlike complex. They think that they know better, right? When that happens, if you succeed, right? So if the authentic person succeeds, what the difficult person is going to do is they're going to say, oh, it's because of me that person is successful. And that's how they get the people around them to believe them, because they're very good at acting. Very interesting case study for me are the ones who use spirituality to drill their point in. If they have one skill, it's acting. And I've seen situations where people go back, they try and go back to the person that left, right? When they do that, they almost go back with this sense of superiority, as if, of course, they haven't learned their lessons. Nothing's changed, to be honest, because they're incapable of understanding that something's wrong with them. This is the extreme level, right? Almost narcissism level, right? Of manipulators. And even though they're feeling the pain of a separation, even though they might be having an inkling of a thought that maybe it was you that messed up, but they suppress that completely by validating to themselves that I am the savior. And that's how the God complex happens in these very troubled souls, which is, my job is to make sure that other people remove themselves from me, and then they find themselves, and now it's apparently they feel that they have some authority to go back and say, come back to me, I am your savior. And that's, if you don't have a strong self-esteem, a lot of people actually fall for that, and they do go back to these toxic relationships, thinking that they're smarter now. Because every time you go through that process of removing yourself from a very toxic situation, you will grow out of it. Of course, that's a natural part, but it's not the end of your growth. There's still a lot more to go. But if you go back to these relationships, these people, family, work environment, friends, doesn't matter, and they will always come off as being equally confident, if not more. And there's this superiority where they're like, oh, so you've come back. Of course. Well, did you learn your lesson? So what you have to do is understand that if somebody is using religion or spirituality to try and justify bad behavior, they're next level toxic. So don't fall for it, okay? It's all an act. They're just acting. At their core, they're very insecure people, and you have to keep yourself away from the environment that you don't want to become, okay? I've heard terms like spiritual narcissists. I think we're getting too complex in our wording and our tags, but I have witnessed such a person who, long time ago, who tries and uses themselves as if they are the superior being, and it's because of them that the best person in their life that ever happened to them has left, and now they've learned their lessons, so obviously they're going to come back to me. And keep in mind, sometimes it might look like I've learned my lesson, so sometimes there's a super victimhood tactic that manipulators use. So that might sound like even they again take it to a spiritual or religious level that, oh, I've learned my lesson, God has taught me, I've been through the dirt, thank you for leaving me, I need you back now. Again, they're trying to use religion and spirituality to drill their point. Don't fall for it. It's a condition. They haven't learned their lesson unless they're taking medication and going to a therapist, which they cannot do because there's a superiority complex. You are a challenge for them to attain, okay? Don't let them win. That's how they think. It's you. If you're in that situation, if you're hearing this, I want you to enter a space of zoom out and just detach yourself from the story, okay? You see yourself standing there, you see this person standing there, you're zoomed out, you're a third person, you're nobody, just an observer, right? And when you do that, you realize that this story has to pan out this way. You were meant to go through that circumstance, you were meant to grow from it, and now the next test is you stay away. You try and attract the kind of people that you want to become, okay? And don't think that your growth is over. Don't think that, oh, I've learned my lesson, I can manage this person now. And don't try and see any advantages of reconnecting, because trust me, this is a medical condition. They are not well, and you don't want to be around people who are not well and who are adamant at not taking the medicine, right? It's just too much work, because they will go back to their old patterns and you will continue along that cycle. Don't fall into their game. Make your own game. Okay? And it's an advice I use. I recommend it to people who are in these circumstances. You got to make your own game. And part of your game is you're not going to go back to their game. Okay? So see if that helps. And yeah, just don't fall for it. They're going to try and use spirituality, God, religion to try and justify themselves. And it's nothing but their condition, right? Forgive them. Let their story pan out the way it's meant to, but it's not with you. Stay true to you. You grow. Stay authentic. That's all for today. Love you.